But we do begin with the guy who has quickly become the embodiment of the modern Democratic Party, and that is Maine Senate candidate Graham Platner has been accused of sexual misconduct, of domestic abuse, psychological abuse. He purportedly bragged about committing and liking to commit sex acts whenever he passes a porta potty. He has an alleged history of making rape jokes, blaming women for getting sexually assaulted, and until recently maintained an active account on a messaging app popular with teens featuring a shirtless profile picture of himself. And to top it all off, Platner proudly displayed the actual Nazi tattoo on his chest for nearly 2 decades. And according to one former girlfriend, he was seemingly proud about the evil origin of the SS tattoo. But in the Party of Human Rights and Me Too, all has been forgiven because Graham Platner is an avowed communist. He fits right in. And not just any Democrat. He says he's a communist socialist who wants to throw billionaires in jail. Nice guy. Take a look.
Billionaires don't exist today because they worked hard. Corporations don't have the consolidated wealth and power they have just because they made good investments. They got it because they cheated. If I had my way, elections would last 2 months. They would be publicly funded. And if a billionaire looked at a TV ad the wrong way, we'd put him in jail.
Well, just throw everybody in jail. Now, just so we're clear, Democrats don't actually care about human rights. They say they do. They say they have a monopoly of compassion for them. The Me Too movement, just a political tool. Every life matter only when you can blame Trump or Republicans, just like every other social justice movement. Don't believe me? Well, here's Me Too champion Ro Khanna excusing the allegations of abuse against Platner because he didn't see any injuries. Oh, there's a reason. I'm sure he'd give the same benefit of the doubt to a Republican. Take a look.
His actions were misogynistic. They were shameful. They were wrong. But they didn't come as a surprise to a lot of the folks in Maine. People in Maine knew that he had had 2 tours of duty in Iraq. He came back broken in a dark place. That doesn't excuse his behavior, but they knew this. He was in Washington. And then he went back to Maine, and he started an oyster farm. He took accountability. He himself has said it was shameful, and he had redemption. Obviously, look, if there was evidence of violence, I would not support him. If there was evidence of sexual assault, I'd have zero support for him.
James Carville, he put it this way, quote, America needs a bleeped-up veteran to remind Congress what war does to people. Take a look.
He's up. He's been shot at. He's a veteran. All right? He's a little bit weird. You know, maybe we need a combat veteran right on that Senate floor who is up, who every time these go to vote for another war, yeah, Susan Collins, you know, all the wars that he got shot at in Evan Common, Susan Collins voted for all of them. Maybe they need to look at this guy before they start sending young people off to fight wars and see what the consequence of it is.
Now, of course, there are dozens of war veterans in the House and Senate right now, and none of them have Nazi tattoos. None of them are accused of committing sexual acts in porta potties. None of them talked about raping intruders that break into their homes. None of them maintained a shirtless profile picture on a messaging app popular with teenagers. But according to Democrats, these are actually endearing qualities that connect Platner to regular men across America. In the real world, Platner is a champagne socialist Marxist who wants to play Robin Hood, steal people's money, empower himself so that he can stay in power in perpetuity. You know, from a wealthy home, no less, who at 41 is still trying to get his footing in life while trashing those who worked hard, made good decisions, became successful, and that might be okay for someone posting on social media from their parents' basement. But is this really someone you want serving in the U.S. Senate? Is that who the Democratic Party wants representing them the next 6 years? All right, thanks for watching. Check out my new podcast, Hanging Out with me, Sean Hannity. The big interviews, the debates you won't get anywhere else. Like and subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.